Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, First Community Financial Bank, the community bank where you come first. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Spotlight. I'm your host, Jane Winnett, and with me now representing the Max Lacewell Foundation are David Lacewell and Dr. Stuart Goldman. So welcome to Spotlight, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
We are delighted to have you here. We're excited to hear about the important work that you're doing. But I'm going to start off with you, David, and I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about your son, Max, and a little bit about the Max Lacewell Foundation.
Oh, thank you so much. So our lovely son, Max Lacewell, October 29th of 2008, we heard the fateful news that Max was diagnosed with diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. And often what you'll see it as is DIPG, referenced in any sort of literature materials. And as you can imagine, we were devastated. He had just started kindergarten. He was 5 years old. And our world and his world came crashing down. However, we had the great fortune of having Stu as Max's physician. And we spent 9 intense months with Max battling this disease. And just quickly for you and your viewers, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or DIPG, is a brainstem tumor. So it's located on the pons of the brainstem. It is inoperable, unfortunately, and at the time they were not even able to biopsy as well. So it's sort of shooting in the dark a little bit to try to tackle the tumor. So we did not have much hope at that time. Stu was wonderful and gave us as much realistic hope as possible. And we were able to enjoy Max. He was, as I say, and I don't mean to be overly morbid, but he was the healthiest dying kid on the planet. He was healthy and vibrant for the 9 months that he battled the disease, and then on July 4th, 2009, at 10:20 p.m., he took his last breath. But he was surrounded by us, by Leanne, myself, our daughter Addie, and we were grateful very much for that. And then we knew, though, we had very generous folks that were donating money to us at that time, and we knew that we were going to take that money and create the Max Lacewell Foundation. And we knew also, because of the dearth of research and progress that was being made with this disease, that we wanted to create the foundation to raise awareness and funds to support research. And that's what the Max Lacewell Foundation does. We created it in 2011, and our primary mission is to create the Max Lacewell Research Scholar that will be a dedicated endowed position at Lurie Children's Hospital under the advisement and guidance of Dr. Stu Goldman. And we're very hopeful that that will lead to some terrific breakthroughs in DIPG, and that's what the Max Lacewell Foundation is focused on.
I'm going to just say, as a parent, I can't imagine in any way, shape, or form any worse experience to go through. But I think that as you talked about the way that you want to honor your son and help others, I applaud you, and thank you for doing that on behalf of all the other kids that are going to be battling that disease. Thank you. Stu, which I'm glad you'll let me call you Stu. Thank you for that. Talk a little bit about your vision for this Max Lacewell Scholar. What does that look like with the Lurie Children's Hospital?
The vision for the future of children with DIPG, I think, is really reflected in the words that you just heard. And from the Lacewell family, and from Max, and unfortunately from way too many other children that we treat who have this devastating disease. For the last 28 years, I've been treating diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, as we have worldwide. And we've been limited because of the location of the tumor. And to explain a little bit, if you think about it, this is the part of your brain that if you burn your finger the message still goes up through your brainstem, tells part of your brain once it's above it to look at your hand. Another message goes back down to move your hand. Another message tells you to yell ow. So it controls everything.
Very complicated.
Very complicated, including breathing and swallowing and eye movements. And so that's where the surgical limitations have been. And because of that, we've had less understanding of the basic biology of this tumor and how to capitalize on that. And one of the sad realities of our world is that less than 4% of all federal funding goes to pediatric cancer research. Now, I don't want to overdo that statistic, because some of the basic science research that's done on breast cancer and other tumors, and never would I belittle the importance of all those other cancers, we still learn from that. But when it's really dedicated to childhood cancer, it's a minuscule amount. And then when we talk about a very rare tumor that happens only to a few hundred kids each year, it becomes even more minuscule.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, if we could make a difference and save these children's lives, what a better world we live in. And if you ever met Max, you know that our world would be better if he was standing here with us. And even in his absence, he's made me a better person. He's made the people he's met. He's made the people who support your foundation a better place. And so we owe it to Max. We owe it to all the other children that we've treated and that we will treat. So our vision for the scholar is to really get down to the basic science and understanding of how do these tumors develop, what molecularly, what really on the individual basis can we capitalize on to better treat these tumors. So we're looking for a scientist who's going to give us the basic understanding so people like myself then can administer those therapies to really get better outcomes.
Really looking for that breakthrough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think someone who's dedicated to this.
Yeah, it's their whole focus.
This is what we want.
Yeah.
And some of this will actually not just benefit kids with DIPG, but with all kinds of other brain tumors. And that's the beauty of it. And that's, I think, one of the legacies of this foundation, is though it has a laser pinpoint focus, it's going to help so many children.
And what's your vision, David, as you think about this collaboration with the Children's Hospital and what's your vision?
And that's, Stu says it well, and I'm just going to paraphrase in that it's hope for other parents that will be facing, and other families that will potentially be facing the same thing, and that the fact that Stu talked about the dedicated focus on DIPG or brainstem tumors, pediatric brainstem tumors, and the advances and to your point and what you were just talking about, the breakthroughs that may occur, right? And I mentioned it earlier about hope, right? And the limited hope that we had. What I'm hoping is that there'll be more of that available.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate you stopping by and explaining to us what this is, what your vision is. I think we know that people can help if they go on your website.
Yes.
And they get involved, and they help donate money, and they get behind you, and they support, and they raise awareness. I think that's a key part, right?
That is, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. If you would like to learn more about how to help raise funds and awareness for medical research into pediatric brain tumors, please go online and visit their website. We're going to take a quick break for a few short messages, but don't go away. We're coming right back with more Spotlight.